Welcome to Around Town, featuring what's happening here in the greater Concord area. I'm your host, Dick Patten, and it's a pleasure to welcome you back as we're now knocking on the door of the first day of April with April Fools, and also, too, we're now starting with Tis the Season. Yes, tis the season, not for Christmas though, but for the political season. That's right. And today, my first guest today is also my first political guest for the Tis the Season. And I'm pleased to have with me State Representative Frank Edelblut, who is a candidate for the office of governor and from the Republican side. And he's got some testy candidates that's going to be working against him or with him or whatever to try to get in that office. But
well, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think, actually.
So,
I'm curious though, because if this is the season, what was that season that ended on February 9th for us? Because that was quite a season that we were having there.
As far as I was concerned, that was the garbage season.
The garbage season, is that what was going on? Okay.
I was never so disgusted as I was with that one.
It was an amazing
I have
primary.
never seen so much dirt and I felt like I was out in the middle of a cow barn with all the manure running around and
Having
smelling
to shovel it out. Is that
my
what you're doing?
God. And what saddens me, Frank, is the money that's being spent. They said already they've gone over $1 billion between all of them.
Did they? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's...
And look how many poor people that could feed.
Right.
Or homeless or whatever else.
Right.
And no, stand up at the microphone and come out with, well, you're kind of a ditz. Who would want to vote for you? And well, we don't want her, for goodness sakes, and they go, who's her? It's like, oh, get with it.
Yeah, stay focused. Actually, I think in our race, so you're right, there are 4 candidates who are running on the Republican side, and there's 3 on the Democrat side.
So far, yeah.
So you think there's going to be more?
Well, I mean, really, the filing period doesn't start till June 1st.
Exactly.
So who's to say that between now and then you can get a couple more to jump in?
You could, but if you start this late, it's going to be hard to get traction.
Yeah.
So. But I mean, so you think about it, that's a 7-candidate field already.
Oh, yes.
So it's going to be I think that when you get a lot of candidates in like that, you get a lot of discussion because everybody finds somebody they can latch onto, somebody they can like, and so you just you engage more people in the political process.
Yeah.
In spite of all of the cow manure you had to shovel out of the way, during the presidential, it just seemed to have brought everybody was engaged somehow because if you couldn't find somebody that you said like I'll take that one, then you were just not paying attention at all.
Oh, I know. And the thing of it is that it's the people that I mean, really, if you think about it, the president can do just really not much because it's Congress. It's like here in New Hampshire. Really, it's the legislature and the Senate that make the decisions in some regards. Yes, the governor can issue some proclamations or directives or whatever, but it's the legislature and the Senate that pass the bills and on to her to hopefully sign.
Can I just say thank you for that? Because too often what happens is people misconstrue what our constitutional government is. I mean, my job as the governor is to make this state operate really, really well. Yeah. We are going to be humming.
Yeah.
And I have legislative ideas, but it's really, I need to work with the legislature to enact those kinds of laws or to unenact some laws in some cases in order to help me make this state perform at optimal performance.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think that's one of the things that I bring to the race because I'm a business guy.
Yeah.
So I know what it's like to get an organization to operate and function really efficiently, and effectively. So, you define a goal, you define a mission, and then you go after it and you get it done. But again, to your point, often people are saying, so what's your legislative agenda? Well, I mean, as the governor, I can have ideas for what I want to get done,
exactly.
But I'm going to be working with the legislature to try and bring that agenda together because they're the guys who have to pass the laws.
I mean, it's nice to come in and do the Pledge of Allegiance with somebody and sing the Star Spangled Banner, but you really should be in there talking with the people more. I mean, it's nice to talk to the powerful ones, but how about us lower class ones that are in there? We like to see the governor once in a while or whatever, about having to make an appointment.
Right.
But you don't.
And even
that.
Sometimes when you make an appointment, it's hard to get the appointment.
Oh yes,
it is.
yes. And like I said to you off camera, as far as I'm concerned, John Lynch has been the best one I've ever dealt with in my short time as a legislator, but even beforehand as a citizen. He always made time to see you or whatever. You never got the and Susan, the first lady, I still have the record, Frank, for having the only TV show, including Channel 9, of having the two of them together on here.
Really?
Even Channel 9 never had them.
Wow.
I did. They came on several times together.
Well, so then let me tell you that my wife Kathy and I will be happy to come back as
Well,
a
that's
couple
good.
and
Well,
share
that
with
would
you,
be- that
because
would
I
be
think that would be
nice.
fun.
Yeah.
Let me ask about John Lynch, though, because John Lynch and I, as we talked about, he and I share kind of a similar business background that we bring to this job. Individuals who know how to try and make organizations function well and meet objectives.
So are you no tax base or whatever? Are you for a sales tax, income tax?
No, I'm going to leave. I'm not going to pass sales taxes or income taxes.
Yeah.
I don't know that we need to, honestly. I think what we really need to do is focus on getting that which we have, working really well.
Yeah.
And if we, as opposed to what happens sometimes is if you just keep taking more taxes, it doesn't force you to make the hard decision. It doesn't force you to help drive that thing towards efficiency. Part of the way that businesses function well is that, they have limited budgets, so they have to learn how to operate more effectively to get things done.
Yeah.
And government is not a business per se, but there's a lot of those lessons that can transfer over. So.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And of course, I don't know what you see as the issues coming up next year, or even finishing this year, but I know the hot items that I see myself, at least from the Concord area, but that it's the Northern Pass is one of the hot items that we still haven't really dealt with directly yet.
Right.
There's been a lot of talk, a lot of meetings, but I've seen no bill come in yet to authorize it or whatever. The passenger rail is another hot topic that Nashua definitely, and I think Manchester wants it, and I hope they get it. I want it to come to Concord. But you've got these people, and I still say, and I'm probably going to get slapped for this, but I still think it's the buses that don't want them, obviously.
Pushing back against that.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Buses don't, why, because you figure out why would the buses want them?
Yeah.
They're competition, but they don't have to be.
But let me ask you a question. I'm surprised that you went straight to those issues and you didn't start with opioid crisis, because that just seems to be the subject du jour.
Oh, that's coming up.
Is that on the list?
That was on the list. But,
okay.
But and you're right, the heroin thing. I mean, that's become. But drugs have been a major thing for years. Even when I was in school.
So you think we're just now beginning to observe it, but
I think they're starting to now figure out that it's a major problem.
Right.
And they need to do something.
We do.
But they haven't. They've been too busy fighting about everything else and not realizing that the opium and the heroin out there is a big deal.
One of the issues I have with that is, and you've served in the legislature for a couple of terms, so you realize this. Yeah. We have an addiction recovery fund, which is part of the alcohol fund, and we're supposed to set aside 5% every year to be used for addiction education, recovery, and stuff like that. And we've rated over the last 8 years $53 million out of there. So I almost feel in some respects like this is a crisis that is the result of some of those early decisions to raid those dedicated funds. Had those funds been used in the schools, teaching kids like, drugs are dangerous, drugs are bad, you don't want to go there, and some of those individuals who are today addicts probably wouldn't have that addiction problem right now. So we kind of created a problem, and now we're trying to jump in and say, can we fix it again? And I think we just have to acknowledge that. It doesn't change what we have to do necessarily now, other than we have to recognize that sometimes government has a tendency to do that. They create the problem and then they write themselves in as the solution to the very problem that they've created.
So where are we going to go with that thing? Because they allotted the money. They named a drug master, whatever.
Drug czar again.
Czar, whatever.
The second one, right?
Yeah. So what do? It's election year, so do things just stop until a new governor comes in? Or can they continue on seeking some solutions, getting some facilities built, or either that, or find some buildings that are not being used that they can convert into an addiction place for these people to go?
Yeah. So I think a couple of things. So first of all, I don't believe that government is going to be the only solution. This is a community problem.
Because it is.
So we really need a governor who's going to basically kind of rally the communities and say, look. In each of your communities, you guys are going to have to get together and figure out how you're going to deal with this. And government then can play a role in helping that, but without that private partnership and without vesting the community in the outcome, it's not going to work. Because it's just another government program. They put a house in, and then the community's like, oh, I don't want it in my backyard, or I don't want it in my backyard. Yeah. So again, the communities have to embrace it, and they have to get around it. The other problem that we have is that a lot of the government programs, you're always after kind of that quick fix. So they're sending kids and adults really into the recovery, for 7-day dry out periods, 60-day dry out periods, or just a quick turn. And what happens is, we dry them out, then we put them back out on the street, and they recidivate it like 95% of the time. So I think in order to be effective, you need programs that are long-term. You got to put somebody into one of these recovery programs, 18 to 24 months. They got to be 24/7, so they're supervised, because if they get out, they're going to connect again with drugs, and they're going to be in trouble. And they really need to be holistic in terms of, many times people find themselves in a situation because they've lost a job, or they've got vocational issues, or their family structure's falling apart. So you need something to help kind of put the person back together, because there was something that triggered that caused them to turn to drugs in the first place. Now, sometimes, and we've heard many of the examples, is it's maybe just like a sports injury, and you start taking opioids, and then you get addicted because you have that addictive behavior. And then I think the flip side of this too is I coined a term the other day. I don't know if you like this one or not, but I said, on the guys, so on the one hand, the addicts, we got to treat, we got to help these guys. But we need to go Giuliani, on the guys who are bringing drugs into the state.
Oh, yeah.
He cleaned up New York City, and we need to say, not on our streets. We're not going to have this stuff taking place in our communities. Because they are bringing crime in that has an influence beyond the addicts, because not only are they committing crime, but then they create addicts who commit crimes because they need money in order to buy the drug. So it just has kind of this cancerous effect on the community, which again comes back to why the community needs to circle around this thing. There's a group called the Addiction Recovery Coalition. I don't know if you're familiar with them. Nonprofit group going into communities and buying homes and setting up these long-term facilities in order to be able to help the community get a handle on it. For the most part, they've gotten a decent reception. In some communities, again, people are just like, they don't want to have anything to do with it, right? Not in my backyard. But in fact, it is in their backyard. So that's why I say, again, community solutions have to take place there.
It just, I don't know. I don't know when it really got bad. I mean, I graduated from high school in 1970. And there was some things back then. The marijuana was starting up big time.
Right.
And heroin we heard a little bit about, but now it's just all of a sudden it's just boom. But what is it? What is the driving force behind it? Is it the music, the programming? What's pushing these kids to really? Is it peer pressure? I mean, what is something is driving them to it?
Yeah,
and you gotta wonder.
I don't know the answer to that, and I'm sure there are experts who could do a better job. I would point to kind of honestly some of the breakdown of the family.
Yeah, that's true.
And again, whole solid families are experiencing this problem, but I think in some respects the breakdown of the family is the problem. One of the committees I sit on is the Child and Family Law Committee.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I also sit on Finance and the Pension Reform Committee.
Boy.
But in Child and Family Law, we see lots of parents and families that have come through the child or the family court system. And they've been broken in that system, honestly. It's tough to end a marriage. And some of the victims in that are the kids.
Oh, yeah.
So they are just, these families are breaking up. The kids are destitute. They're lost. They're confused. They just don't know what's going on. And their solution is they're more vulnerable to drugs if somebody's coming along and they're pushing something on them. So, again, I'm sure there's an expert who could give you an answer to your question, but that's one of the places that I gravitate to.
I know, because it's sad. And what makes me laugh is because, and this is going to be one of the next ones, is the casino bill. How they keep saying, well, that brings in crime and corruption and it's addiction. Well, I wrote an editorial for the paper about this.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yes, because I am casino. I like to go once in a while down to Foxwoods or
over in Maine?
Yeah, well, I have never been to that one. I've gone down to Twin Rivers in Rhode Island, and we've been down to the new one in Massachusetts a couple of times. I don't care for it. It's okay. Very nice, non-smoking, but I think
most of them are these days, aren't they?
No.
I was in Las Vegas recently, and that was
Oh
non-smoking.
yeah, some of them still have an area where they can have the smoking machines.
Okay.
And you can smoke in those. Like Foxwoods and Mohegan both still have smoking areas.
Yeah. Okay.
But and I think sometimes the better machines are in there too. But anyway, but they talk about them being addicted. Yes, okay, slot machines can be, or gambling can be. But what about all these scratch tickets?
Right.
I went over the other day to the lottery office just for some information, and there was you have $1, $2, $3,
All kinds of
$5,
games.
$10, $20, $25 scratch tickets. And they even were talking. They had a $30 one at one time. They did away with it and came out with the 25.
Yep.
Now they're talking about doing a $50 scratch ticket.
It's pretty expensive. Yeah.
You know, I mean, and then you've got Megabucks, Powerball, Cash Lotto, Mega Millions, Daily Numbers, whatever else there. And how addicting is that?
Well, so we had two. I mean, we had the casino bill, but we had two other bills. We had the Keno bill.
Yeah, Keno was.
And I thought, didn't we get that through the House? But the Senate's killing it.
Yeah, I think the Senate killed it.
And then there was another bill that we dealt with, which you're going to put in video poker. Everybody who's got a liquor license in a restaurant, that they were able to set up that as well. But that also didn't make it.
Nope. But it makes you laugh because they talk about addiction. What in the hell? Excuse me. What the heck is that? All these tickets. And it's funny because you go into a store, and people stand there, and they'll say, "I'll take these scratch tickets, but I only want the ones that end in even numbers." Because they think because the room. Oh yeah, they have to.
Okay.
They can. Because they heard it the last numbers of the lucky tickets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Now, how addicted is that?
Well, clearly, I mean, you and I have both seen guys at the gas station who they get their ticket, they scratch it, they win, then they buy two more tickets. I mean, this is the kind of thing. But again, this is the live free or die state still, I think, right? So if you want to go and you want to, to do that, then that's your right to be able to do that. I think.
There you go. Something now. Rockingham's up for sale.
Right, I saw that. That's a big deal.
It is.
I've never really been. Sad. I've never been there, so haven't really engaged it. But
I've never been there either. I mean, I've been down to the mall down there. But...
Right, I've been to the mall and to.
Now, what district do you cover as a representative?
So my district is Hillsborough District 38. So I have one of the float districts. So I actually cover 10 towns.
Oh my God.
I go from almost the Massachusetts border.
Yeah.
See, is it the Massachusetts border? No, not quite. The Massachusetts border all the way up to Sullivan County, in Windsor. So it's like one of these long, stretched out districts. Essentially, the western border of Hillsborough County is where I am.
So you go Wilton, Temple.
So I've got Greenville, Wilton, Lyndeborough, Francistown, Hancock, and then all the way up into Hillsborough, even.
That was very sad yesterday about that Lyndeborough firefighter.
Wasn't that? Yeah,
I don't understand why. This is getting off the beaten path, but I just couldn't figure out why he was in Ware. Is Ware and Lyndeborough that close together?
They're not that far apart.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew they were near New Boston, but I didn't know they were near Lyndeborough.
Yeah, well, from Lyndeborough you would just kind of cut through Greenfield, and then through Francistown, and you're up into Ware. It's not that hard.
So then,
maybe I was visiting a friend, but the tree fell down right on his car. Can you imagine the timing on something like that?
And they said that was his anniversary.
Oh, that's sad.
Wedding anniversary. Well, anyway, but then, of course, in your travels as governor, you must hear about the North Country and the need for jobs up there. They're all wondering if the balsams are going to come back.
Right.
I've heard so much negative that they don't think they will, even though they're getting things passed. But you wonder.
I've got some really good ideas up in the North Country. Do you know? I don't know if this is relevant to the conversation, but it's North Country opportunity, and I almost feel like we got to light somebody's pants on fire.
Yeah.
So a company up in Montreal, Bombardier, got contracts to build subway trains for New York and San Francisco.
Yeah.
My understanding is that it's $11.5 billion contract.
Yeah.
But the 1987 Build America Act requires that 87% of the content of those trains has to be manufactured in the U.S. So what they've done is they've released their list of subcontractors, and they basically told their subcontractors, go get set up on the U.S. side of the border.
Yeah.
And so you know that New York and Vermont and Maine want those companies, but we want them, for us, because our North Country is easy striking distance into Montreal. And so we should be, beating down the doors of these subcontractors and saying, we've got a spot for you in northern New Hampshire, that would be great. Yeah. So really, potentially a really good opportunity to get businesses in. Another guy up in the North Country, Bob Chapman, has a project that he's working on up in Groveton.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you've been up in Groveton.
Yeah.
Have you seen the rest? Yeah, he's recovering one of the old mill buildings and
Yes.
restoring it.
Yeah.
He's got gas service up there, electric service up there.
Wow.
He just got a tenant that's going to take a big piece of it to manufacture wood pellets for
Good.
pellet stoves.
Yes, I heard that.
And so that's a really good opportunity he's got going there as well.
I have to laugh because I've been in Groveton. Was being a Grange member, we had Granges all through the whole state. But
Okay.
I was always called Northumberland.
That's what Groveton's called?
Yes.
Well, I just learned something. I didn't know that.
The official name for Groveton is Northumberland,
Okay.
but they go by Groveton. But you'll see when you travel up 3, I think it is, you'll see the signs that entering Northumberland.
I'll have to take a look at that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know, whoever else is doing it is Rick Tillotson. So Rick, was affiliated with the Balsams. You bring up the Balsams project. So it was his father that had the plastics factory behind there.
Yeah.
So he's relocated that now into Colebrook, I think is where he is. I've been to his facility. And he's manufacturing the products again and getting that up and going. Got some really good technology things that he's working on to kind of differentiate the products and get that ramped up. And so another good opportunity up in the North Country. So I think that there are opportunities up there, for folks. We just got to keep working on it.
It's sad because this past winter was such a disaster for them.
There is that, right?
I mean, their skiing industry suffered. The snowmobilers up there, the ice fishermen, I'm not only just up in the North Country, everywhere in New Hampshire. Mother Nature was not kind this year.
I heard a statistic. So typically they'll get 50,000 snow machine registrations a year. They had 20,000.
Oh yeah.
And so all but that deficit's going to show up next year because this is what funds all the clubs up there, right?
Yeah. It's sad. But of course they have the federal prison up there. They have the brand new state prison up there. So they have a little bit, but still, I mean, the farms up there have gone out, which is sad because they just could not make any ends meet with the way the farms are being taxed up there and stuff.
Right. Well, and the property values and the transportation in terms of the price margins and stuff.
And it's a beautiful area up there.
Oh, it's God's country.
Oh,
right?
yes, yes, it is.
Got to say that one right, don't you?
And I have to laugh because in the Grange, of course, the North Country gets very uptight when you say North Country.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
I learned
yes.
it. I'm
So I used to
learning all kinds of stuff.
So I call it the Northern Sector because I was in police work for 30 years. So I call it the Northern Sector.
Okay.
And that goes a little bit better, but because they it's funny because anywhere north of Plymouth is the North Country. No. Try anywhere north of Littleton or Lancaster, then you're in the North Country.
Then you're really in the North Country,
especially Pittsburgh.
Well, so I always think north of once you go through the Notch.
Yes.
Then I'm in the North Country.
That's what I figured too,
Okay.
North Country. But some of them, I don't know, when you're down Plymouth or Lebanon, that's not North Country.
Those guys are going to have a lot of problems into the future too with education systems because,
That's right.
While we're losing young kids and over statewide, the number of students is declining. And some of the municipalities up there, their numbers are going down quite a bit and pretty rapidly. And they still have to try and support the education system, and it's becoming really expensive per student. So we're going to have to get creative in terms of how we deal with some of these issues going forward.
How does your family feel about you running for governor?
So my wife is excited about it. I mean, honestly, I never imagined I'd be running for state rep, let alone governor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't talked a little bit about my background. I am a business guy, right? So I started my career at a company called Price Waterhouse. I don't know if you know them.
Yeah, I've heard that.
An accounting company.
I've heard that.
Yes.
Yeah.
People know them from the Oscars.
Yes,
they're the two
Price
stiffs
Waterhouse.
who come out with
Yes,
the envelope.
yes,
The
yes,
envelope, please.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never got to work on that project.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, well.
Left there,
go.
but then I started a business.
Yeah.
Classic story. Started at my dining room table. My wife, when she got tired of not being able to serve dinner, kicked me out of there. I got my first office, which was I took one of my kids, I moved them out of their bedroom and to share with their sibling, and I moved into the bedroom.
There you go.
But this is a business I ended up selling and left in 2009. But at the time, we had over 800 employees. We were operating in over 20 countries.
Oh my goodness.
So it was a great company, and I sold it to a good company, a company called Altran over in France. And then I started doing angel investing, kind of like Shark Tank. You ever watch Shark Tank?
No, I don't, but I've heard of it.
You've heard of it? Okay. So I say to people sometimes, I do Shark Tank, but it's not nearly as fun. I have to say too, my job is I read bad business plans, because everybody's got an idea. So that's really what I do, but I never imagined I'd get into politics.
Yeah.
But I just thought, where I am in life, I can make a difference. I have most people, honestly, my age, you got your head down, you're working as hard as you can to try and pay the bills. Can you get the kids through college? Can you save for retirement? Can you pay the real estate taxes? And so I thought I'm in a position to be able to do this, so I thought I should do it. And so that's why I sort of say I'm manning up and trying to get it done.
So interesting. you picked up one thing you mentioned just now. You had a company, you had 800 employees.
Yep.
Were they all New Hampshire or were they in countries?
Yeah, they were in country. They were.
In foreign countries.
Yeah, I had some in the U.S. I had them spread out. I don't know. I had most of the major metropolitan areas in the U.S. I had offices, because we needed to be near where our customers were. Our customers were Fortune 2000 companies, so big companies tend to be in big urban areas. Yeah. And then if you go overseas, we're in the large urban areas overseas. In Asia, like the Shanghais and the Beijings and the Hong Kongs and stuff like that. Over in Europe, in London and in Paris and in Madrid, and the big urban centers is really where we were.
But that didn't bother you, where nowadays they keep saying "Made in America" and "America first" and these countries.
Yes, so I was in America, but I was serving everybody in America. But sometimes my customers were European companies, and the European companies weren't coming to the U.S. to buy. I needed to sell something to them over there. Yeah. So I sold as much as I could in the U.S. and then I just extended beyond that and was selling services overseas as well.
So if you win money for the primary or whatever, are you out here soliciting money? How are you getting to pay your campaign?
Yeah, so I am going to partially fund it myself. I look at this as like one of my companies that I'm investing in.
Okay.
So I'm investing in Frank Edelblut for governor.
Yeah.
And but I'm not going to buy Frank Edelblut for governor all by myself. So I'm out and I'm asking other people to jump in with me and support the candidacy. I have kind of a little slogan that I have is, 2016 and 2016. So if you've got $20.16, you can make a donation in 2016.
Sure.
Because what you really want to do is you want everybody to invest in the race because then they have an interest in the outcome. If you have no skin in the game, then are you really going to be interested? Are you going to engage? Are you going to be part of the process? So, I'm calling everyone in New Hampshire, I think, at this point in time, but trying to encourage people to jump in and support my race and help me move along in the process.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, you like that 2016 and 2016? Think that will work?
Well, why not? I got a request for a donation from a guy in Idaho the other day who was running for politics.
In Idaho?
Idaho.
How'd you get on that list?
I have no idea. I've had 2 requests now from this guy. He's running for state senate or something out in Idaho.
You clearly filled out the wrong form somewhere along the way, and then you ended up on the wrong mailing list.
Either that or he's just whatever. But sorry, I'm not donating out there. But
well, it's tough enough here. Because you've been a state rep, you have to raise some money to just run as a state rep as well.
My thing is, Frank, and I guess maybe I'm one of the, I won't say oddballs, I don't solicit any money because I feel like in this ward here, we have a lot of elderly people, a lot of, as you know, new Americans coming in.
Yep.
And I just feel that I chose to get in this thing. And for me to ask you for a donation when you maybe have got a family and you having a hard time with taxes and all this stuff, and I'd rather see you put your money toward your medicines or your food, gas, whatever, your family first.
So you just take care of it.
And sometimes if somebody wants to send a donation, fine. But for me to go out there begging, I just can't do that. And
it's
maybe
a lot different
wrong.
I think at the state rep level, I wasn't doing any of that, but at a statewide race, you really need to engage a lot of people into that process.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure, if I was running for governor or U.S. Senate or whatever, it would be different.
Yeah.
But I just feel myself, and of course what makes me laugh is, I know we're getting out of time, is that people think that we get paid big bucks.
I know, isn't it funny?
Because when I was out in Michigan, I was talking to some people out there. I go to Ann Arbor once a year for a game. And
Smart move.
Yeah. When I said I was the state rep, oh boy, I bet you make a lot of money. I said, yeah, I do. $100 a year, and they take taxes out of it.
Yeah.
And they just about, huh? I said, yeah, they do. And I get no
we have
mileage.
A citizen government is what we've got.
I get no mileage because the state house is in Concord.
Because you're here.
Because I'm right here. So I get no mileage.
Right.
Not like somebody like me down in your area or up in Colebrook or Pittsburgh or Hampton Falls or Seabrook. I don't. So that's me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to have new signs this year. I've got to get some new cards, but whatever. But that's myself.
Right.
And the other thing I hope you don't do, and
give me some advice. I need advice. Good.
Well, one thing I'm going to tell you is, and I shouldn't tell you this, but I have told other people in the past, the worst thing you can do as a politician is to get up on a platform and promise that you're going to do this, you're going to do that. You can't. You can only do as much as you can do. But to get up there and make all these false promises...
Can I tell you what my approach has been? So I don't really like that about politics either. So I tell people, I'm like, politicians typically, if you elect me, then I will do this.
That's
I'm
right.
like saying, put that aside. I'm just going to do things. And if you like what I'm doing, if you like the programs, we haven't had time to talk about that today, but I've got a whole bunch of stuff I'm just working on. I'm just going to get things done. So it's not really a mystery as to what's important to me, how I'm going to govern, the things I'm going to be focused on and work on, because these are all important things for the state. Just watch where I'm going, and if you like the direction, come along with me,
Yeah. No, I'm going to be having you back on anyway for a couple more times, all of it, most of them at least, before the primers. So.
Good, I appreciate that.
Oh, no, I intend to do that because we have got a half hour, and, I intend to have them back on because it's a big choice.
Yeah.
And you want people to, when they go in the polling booth, to know exactly who they're going to vote for, not just take a pencil or whatever and just... No, because most people, when they go to the polls, know who they're going to vote for. They get very irritated when you got people standing out there,
lining the
here,
street. Yes,
take
exactly.
This, take that. No, thank you. Because when I was a supervisor of the checklist, the first thing I had inside the door was a dump barrel.
Okay.
And all that stuff.
And everybody was
there.
just like dropping it off as they went along.
They can get rid of it.
Yeah.
They don't want that stuff.
No, they
It's
don't.
bad enough in the mail, U.S. mail, to get all this stuff every day. I mean, the presidential primary, it was awful.
Boy,
the
wasn't
stuff
that
we got.
amazing?
Oh, I know. The money spent and all that.
And
material.
oftentimes, I have my kids as well at home, and some of them are at home, and they're voting age because they're in college, and so I'm getting like 2 and 3 of the same mailer. One for each one. I'm like, oh boy, you ought to clean up that list. You're wasting money on that stuff. Yeah.
Well, we'll need to come to a close. My director's going to have my head if I don't. So.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And like I said, you're the first one. So, and I will schedule you again probably in May or so, and then right after you file in June.
Wonderful.
July to get you back on again. So.
Anytime, just let me know. I'm happy to come by.
Oh, I will. And you have this is the first time I've ever really talked to you, but you have a real good attitude, and I hope you do well.
And by the way, thank you to the cameraman over here.
Yeah,
The producer
Ian,
is doing a great job.
My director, Ian Marks, who continues to really show what this show can be, and it's on YouTube. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Hey, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So with that, with Around Town, a little extra time, thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks to Ian for once again being my director, and have a great day, great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.